Thank you, Jaewon.
Thank you.
First, good evening to you, and good morning in London. So, hello everybody, and I'm so glad to be here tonight and today. And I'm Taeyoung.
I'm Hyunjun Kim.
So very nice to talk about our projects.
Happy to be here.
And be part of the lecture series. So we will start with our introduction on the 4 projects we've done for the last 5 years, 5 to 7 years. We are going to divide this session into 3. So our retrospective consists of first stage introduction, and the second stage issues and responses, and lastly be about architecture components, if we say. So this retrospective will be developed into 3 stages.
Okay. These are the community housing projects we've done over the past 7 years. We had 4 projects. Some are built and some are under construction now. We feel very lucky to have met amazing people, amazing communities, and amazing clients. They really want changes and new ways of life against the prevailing housing market trend, which is happening all over the world. Today, we will discuss in detail one of the unique projects we've experienced, which is Onuel Community Housing. Before that, we will give you a brief summary of the 4 projects. First one is Onuel Community Housing. Onuel in Korean, it be well. This housing is for 6 families with 7 children who met in a nursery. They wanted to send them to the same primary school nearby and let them grow as childhood friends in a village, not in a big apartment block. The site is located in a corner, but not in a good shape, as you can see. The guy who owns the corner didn't want to sell his property. So in this compact site of an irregular shape, we tried perimeter living in a simple form that best utilizes the environmental qualities like views, light, and air. For that, we invented a simple layout system, 2 floor plates of 4-meter depths in C shape on 1 floor. Numbers of bedrooms and their locations were adjusted according to each family's requirements. And the massing was determined by the tough regulation called the right of light, thus the internal flexibility was crucial. Multi-purpose hall, community dining, shared garden, and shared terraces are their community spaces they are aiming for.
So the second project is Kundu Madanguk Maru in Korean, and in English, Traditional Artists Village. There are over 50 artists and their staff, families. They are translating this traditional drama and dance into more Korean version. They are based on Jinju, more urban side, and moved to Sancheong, near mountain, supported by the local authority. So we were commissioned to design 30 houses for them and 3 communal facilities, including the performance center. So they basically share their job as an artist, and they actually live in separate homes, but now they wanted to live together. So during the day, they work together as an artist, perform, but during the evening, they live in separate lives. The Jirisan, the Cheonang Peak, was very important orientation to them. But the budget was very tight. So we wanted to make the building really simple. So entrance in the middle, and on one side you have 2 or 3 bedrooms, and on the other side, there's a living and dining area. even though it's simple, we wanted to make a collective landscape by taking the topography, different topography, and to execute it, we had a collaboration with chip making company who used their technology for the dry construction for the bathroom and the electronic partition walls. In Korea, the institute concrete wet construction is more viable, but in this area, it wasn't really a reasonable construction method. So as a result, we took this light steel construction, and this chip making companies, internal partition walls, toilets. So that's how we made this village. And even though it's very simple form, just one type house, by locating all of this into different topographies and some subtle relations with the neighbors, the landscape can change. And in 5 years' time, they will move around, changing their homes with each other after the discussions among them. This is when the construction was done, so the landscape wasn't really there yet. This artist pursues some ecological living. So while there is a performance, they perform together. And the central building is for dining and also for rehearsing their performance. We are waiting for the funds to come for the performance hall just next to the circular outdoor space. This artist performance is based on the outdoor space. There was an indoor space.
Communal community housing in Korean Green Village is for 9 doctors' families. They wanted to have a shared childcare, religious activities. They are French Taeyoung community, and voluntary medical services for local communities. They wanted to have a balance between community and private family life. They named it Alone Together. The site has a narrow rectangular shape on north and south axis. To next one, overcome the disadvantages. The north flats and the middle ones came with the idea of duplex. They even chose their next door neighbors. It's like a cluster, and participate in the design process together. As you can see, the plan looks complex and scaled down. It was a layout tailored for each family cluster. So the form of the construction was extremely challenging at the time. For special efficiency, we applied the skip floors to minimize the landing the footprints with split stairs around the small light rail.
Right, so this is the very first project, Onuel Community Housing, which was Eunhye beginning. And it was located, the land was purchased near Seongdong. And that neighborhood was close-knit Anpor village of more than 100 years. So it was a big decision for the community to move to this site. This community has grown over 10 years at that point. And it started from 3 key members from a church they attended together. And it grew like this, and around 100 people now. And among them, 50 people decided to live together. And they formed 4 tribes, as you can see, as a residential unit for this new home. So it's called tribe. It's like a social family. And for example, tribe 1, for example, I'm not sure of the number, but this tribe, for example, 4 couples and a single person and 5 children. So one household, in Korean sedae, one household has got this family. So these 4 tribes were proposed in the early stage of design, and we had to accommodate them. And at the beginning, we thought, the tribe sounds very interesting and strange in Korean culture. We thought maybe it's more or less very close family who care each other. So we really didn't think that that's measured the point. So this is the section drawing of the building. As you can see, in the middle, there is a staircase. The reason was, again, this site is long and narrow on the south and north axis. And south orientation is preferred in Korea, but we had very smaller surface for the south. So we naturally relocated the staircase in the middle and allocated 2 living spaces for 2 tribes on the south and the north. And the other community spaces were positioned vertically. Yes. We can talk about the community spaces later in more depth. So this is the split staircase in the middle, and it connects 2 north and south flats in the by locating in the middle. Right. So this is a brief introduction of the 4 community housing projects. And we were asked many times to explain this particularly Eunhye Onul Community Housing project, because it's very special in terms of the community's living style, the way of living. And they wanted to know how this building responded to accommodate this new sort of radical community model. And during those presentations, we tried to extend those introductions that we've shown to you with more images and drawings. And we were not sure yet at the point whether we clearly delivered or not. So today we are trying something else, like by sharing the issues and responses in the process, because it was quite complicated one. We haven't designed this type of community house project before. And this community also was the first time to decide to live together, even though they experimented for a few families. But again, this was the first time. So we didn't actually really imagine what it would be like at the beginning. So the process was not very linear. So we thought it's fair to show the process in chronicle order, but according to the issues, and more simply by the elements.
Taeyoung just spoke already. When we visit the site, normally the clues comes up. For example, rough idea based on client brief, or inspiration from context, like natural, the mountainside, any kind of things. But this time was different. We felt some blankness when we start, and we had no idea regarding community living. So we decided to start from the position with no advantages from previous experience. So we had a 2-week term intensive design meetings for almost more than 1 year. 30 to 50 people were actively involved in the process with data, drawings, diagrams, and physical models. We communicate with them. Not only we try to get what they want, but to find out who they are and what they are doing, and obviously how they live.
So from this page, when we say we, with us, the team, architects team, and also our consultation team.
Yes.
And when we say owner from this page, the community members who participated at that point in this design process and also decision making. And we are going to match somehow the issues with the typical architectural elements. In that way, you can easily follow this process. And within each element, we have chronicle order. But overall, the issues follow the chronicle order, but within each, it has got its own order. And you may see that the words that the thing room, bedroom, living room, floor stack, and you may not really see the categorizing concept with this order. And you can understand by looking at each page why. So we have this complex frame. 4 tribes have got very different numbers of couples and children. So how can we decide the space for each tribe? So we calculated first the modules based on the numbers of people and what kind of rooms do we need for a tribe. That was the question at the beginning. So in each tribe's room, whether bedroom suites, how many, or living room, common toilet, but how many again, and different programs for living room. So we just first discussed the rooms within the tribe space. And to do so, actually, we had to think about the bedroom first, because otherwise we can't really see, how much we can allocate the space for the common areas. But how big it should be was the question mark first, because within this tribe space household, more generally, you have 3 different families, blood related families, 3 families. Then what is the minimum size, minimum unit size for this couple for a privacy? So we had some design studies for that. That's the toilet and bedroom. And okay, what we needed was a, for example, a toilet, a shower, or bathroom, or some kitchen. What makes you really your comfort zone for your privacy? And okay, I wasn't heard clearly. So the conclusion was we have a small toilet with a shower and toilet, and a double bedroom size room with a built-in wardrobe and no kitchen inside. So this is the drawing we developed in the detailed stage on the right, and on the left it was the one of those bedrooms after construction. So that's the minimum private unit, minimum size for the private unit for 2 persons. And then that gave us the size of the living room, but we didn't know actually where to put them. We for sure thought, the central location here, as you can see on the right. Sorry. So around this staircase, you have a choice. If you have bedrooms on the east side, then whether you put the living rooms in the center or on the south, which has got a really good orientation, better lights, or the north, like this, with a view to the pine tree forest. So in the typical setting, this must be a way to go for in Korean way, because this side hasn't got any view. Only a neighbor building is very close. So, naturally we thought maybe this is a Korean way, but by doing this, we can actually locate these living rooms together quite close and then share. The community wanted to share those living rooms by opening doors, by keeping the doors open. So this is the floor plate. And after about 2 months, we discussed a lot about the program or the characteristics of the living rooms. And because they wanted to share the 4 living rooms for all the tribes, each living room should have a different program, if I say, and also character. And this tribe was made of actually out of the common interest or similar way of living. So the living room concept was developed like this. This is from the original document. For example, tribe 1 living room like manga bang, animation bang, or a very comfortable living room in Korean way, and for sharing and more like very informal talking space. Tribe 2, children's book cafe or library. Tribe 3, bar and book cafe for adults. Maybe they didn't want to have the children within their living room for some time. And tribe 4 is more or less book cafe with tea. Because tribe 3 hasn't got any children within their unit. So that's why maybe they try to express their characteristics into their living room. So after that, we could fix the floor. As you can see, in the middle, we have a staircase. And to achieve the spatial efficiency, we wanted to use this landing space for the entrance for each tribe space. We actually started for the efficiency, but ended up with a really good connectivity by making half floors. But we had this building regulation controlling the northern volume. So we couldn't really go up beyond this position, which was 9 meters from the ground. So the community discussed to determine the floor height for each tribe space, living space, and decided only 90 centimeters instead of half floor, like 1.5 meters. But instead of that, 90 centimeters difference between these 2 floors. So this is the floor plate we submitted for the planning permission. We look into it more closely later, but this is the south unit, north unit. So tribe 4 with more ladies, right? And more children here with the children's library and living room, again, book cafe, living room and bedrooms, common toilets. And this is the unit that we just mentioned before, and children's rooms here. So this is the floor plate that we set after the discussions. So if we say in architecture floor, that's actually how architects allocate the rooms, circulations, the basic principles. But with community housing projects, the floor was evolved into the finishes as a discussing item with the community. Because the finishes for flooring, for example, is the interface for the tribes. And as each tribe has got their own unique characters, they also wanted to have their walls or floors from their discussions, agreements, and then decide. For example, we gave some spectrums for flooring, and they had their own discussions within each tribe and decided which floor, for example, can have one of these. So that's more freedom for them. And in our case, as an architect, we gave a spectrum or some types for them to choose freely. And at one point, they asked what kind of direction for this wood flooring. So at that point, we gave an opinion like this way or that way. So that way, we designed a framework and gave some variables for their freedom to choose. And it leads to the issue of the staircase, the stairs. This is the first sketch we've done in the second meeting. And at that point, we thought we could achieve 4 floors. And the community wanted to have this different floor height within 2 tribes floors, and sometimes like this. So they wanted to connect each floor, each tribe together. And after some planning permission discussions, we found out that the 4-story building is not allowed in this area because the community has got a very old, like 100 years in the neighborhood, and they didn't really want a 4-story high building because that will affect the neighborhood, which has got a very low-rise buildings. So this is the one that we finalized after those discussions. As you can see, we had only 3 second and third floors for the living spaces and communal spaces on the ground and basement and attic floors. So with this, the staircase was even more important because they had to connect these basement communal spaces, first floor and attic, even better because we had to focus in the basement communal spaces because we lost the 4th floor. So we made some models and discussed how make this staircase really work for the tribes to move around, connecting the community spaces. So we made this basement part of the stair a bit special because it is the point where you feel the environment changes. You are going into the basement, right? And you don't have any lights when you walk down. So we wanted to have some color to invite you. And also from this staircase, we wanted to provide as many as possible for the access to the multipurpose or assembly hall. So we have basically 9 doors within space, and also wanted to make this some spaces found very special, a hidden space or a gallery. So we wanted to have this the center of the community. And the sunken gardens were very important in this basement because, you have now 9 doors. You have choices to choose, right? When you go to multipurpose, so you can choose one of the 2 depending on the activities taking place in some parts. But, you need some sort of orientation with a relationship with the environment. So we located 3 sunken gardens, and 2 of them are connected to the staircase. And the fire escape route was also serving this from these sunken gardens. So, and then we talked about the kitchen. So this is the 2015 September, before we started the first meeting, 4 days before the meeting. And it was a survey of the existing community space. Do you remember? Well, okay, sorry. On the left, you can see the communal kitchen just next to the multipurpose hall. And the right page was from a social family. Actually, that's tribe 4, isn't it? So tribe 4, they experimented co-living from renting a house nearby the community space. And it was the photo from their kitchen. So we have this communal kitchen on the left and a kitchen for a tribe. This communal kitchen is located in the basement. And when we designed this, actually who runs this kitchen was an issue. And there was a lady who was really good at cooking and also loved serving the community. If well, it is a really recollection for the events 7 years. So maybe you can correct it later. So this community dining space is run by her and some community members who love to join it, and it is run by pre-orders. So at that point, our design issue was it is basement, even though it has got a sunken garden here. How can we make this really welcoming, warm for dining and also for other purposes like after school club or child care just next to it. You can see in this dining area, you have this child care and yoga studio during day and night changing, and also this community dining and music room. So how can this space make work as a dining for community and also connection space for this? And the tribe dining was also another issue because the tribes are all different in terms of the way they live or the characteristics, the common interests. Then how can we make this kitchen area more or less typical somehow to have some efficiency between up and down floors, but also allow them to have their own kitchen. And so very simple position. And they are having morning breakfast in the morning usually, and sometimes during night. The funny, not the funny thing, but the interesting thing was they didn't want to fix the role running this kitchen like mom and or somebody. So they throw away all these old plates from their home and made a very clean kitchen policy. So anybody can come to the kitchen and do something because you know where those plates are. But usually you don't know if you go to somebody else's kitchen. And they have their own agreement with to maintain this kitchen. So on the right, you can see how they do it. So this one was taken after the construction. And the corridor was another issue because this is tribe 2, the north flat, and we had 3 couples, and their children were 4. But if you give the rooms for the blood-related family, then you needed 3 rooms, and they decided because we have a very limited floor plate, so they put 2 rooms for girls and boys. And their requirement was like, fun place in this area and also connected to the children's library here. But we couldn't really do it because if you close the door, it's a dead end for this children's room. So after the discussion with the community, we decided to open the door during day and make a circulation around the core. And during evening, they can close it. So by this way, we achieve the full circulation without any dead end. So this is the photo of the children's library and also the corridor. And the same discussion was made for this powder room. This powder room was actually in the beginning, it was like this very intimate corner because you don't really want to show while you are making up, for example, you prepare your day. And after this discussion with the community, they decided to open it to give another choice to connect this corridor and the living room. And also the end of the corridor was closed at the beginning to give more room to one bedroom. But again, it was decided to open the end of the process. So this is the photograph of the end of the corridor and also the circulation around the powder room. And the void was also an issue because at the beginning they wanted to connect the tribes between the floors. by putting some internal staircase, as you remember from the early sketch, section sketch. But after we lost the fourth floor, we couldn't do it. We couldn't have the space. So we proposed actually the void space. So the void space from this children's library of the second floor to the next floor, the upper floor, where the children's teachers of after-school home live, and also to the attic floor where one of the children's parent is working as a Soho attic. So we proposed this void, but this void must be really expensive because fire-resistant glass is needed in Korea for the floor fire compartmenting. But the client, the community decided, because they saw the value of this glass as a visual connection, and we applied this one color to give the awareness of the continuous wall across the 3 floors. And the balcony was also available by putting the core in the middle. And the community had a long discussion about, where to put this level, for example, and how use this balcony, whether for tribe 2 or tribe 4. And they decided to share this. And it was a really unusual decision. So when we had a planning permission, the officials actually couldn't understand how you use this balcony space between 2 different households. So they asked to put a glass door, some frit film, for example, and that was the conditioner in the permission. But we actually persuaded them by explaining the community, how they are different from the typical assumptions. And after that, not after that, actually it was November, around November time, we moved to the studies of the window because, we decided the bedroom, as you remember, and what kind of window could be for each room or the communal space. And it is not really rare to apply this floor to ceiling window to every room. We usually in the apartments, where we live, living room or master bedroom, but the other rooms are, rather you have this 80 centimeter or 1.2 meter, wall, a smaller window because of the privacy, because of the cost, and it is common, I think, sometimes in other parts of the world, but it wasn't really typical. And we showed how it is, how it can be seen from inside. And this one was a really particular moment, actually, when the Onul community actually made discussions together and decided to go for it. This one same window. That's how we could have this facade with same windows. And the attic wasn't actually there in the beginning like this. But after we reduced the volume to the 3 floors, we had to maximize the attic floor. So that's the first scheme actually with the 4th floor. And to maximize it, we calculated this maximum height we can achieve within the regulation. And also we discussed how they can use these attic floors open and shared, because it's not again usual in Seoul. So this is the detailed drawing we developed in the detail stage. So calculation for the height. And this is how we made for the attic of tribe 1. That's tribe 1 living space, and Mangabang, which is shared by all the community. And it is connected to this roof tea room with the fire door. And this is Soho attic space, the upper floor of the tribe 3. And again, this one is connected back to the roof. And it was around November, we discussed where we take off the shoes. In Korean culture, our home starts when you take off the shoes. And usually you just walk, the common staircase and then take off them just in front of your door. And that's where your home starts. And community decided to have it just in front of the building and put this long built-in shoe closet for a community use. So this is the photo of it. And another thing was the assembly hall in the basement, because there was a foundation from next door was actually interrupting our site boundary. So we had to again maximize the use of this hall. So the shape was slightly adjusted, and to have it for multiple purpose, but also to give some characteristics for the assembly. We actually looked at some aisle and nave approach, which you can see in a church, because at the beginning it was also it conveys the purpose of a church as an assembly, and other community activities should have been actually accommodated in this area, but in our design, but it was quite tight. So the area or the structure movement, the column structure was, again, there was a structure constraint for the multipurpose hall, but that was where we had a conversation with the structure engineer and to accommodate the community needs. So, okay. So after we made this design island nave, for example, for this assembly, we could have a ceiling space actually available for our seasonal clothes. So you can see the ladder to this ceiling space. So the community move to change the seasonal clothes when some particular seasons, maybe. And also the toilet needs to have this basin for washing hair, in case there are some members who may not be able to wash their hairs. And the elevator was also discussed where to put, whether on the south side or on the north side, because it's half floor difference. And the community came up with the idea that you maximize this half floor advantage. But for the elevator, yes, there is a disadvantage for the north flat, but we can actually change the members of the community up if they agree to it. So, but there was a governance, for that process. So actually, the elevator was put on the south side, but in the future, they will allow some social mobility to overcome that disabled access limit. And doors, we had 9 doors in the basement. So we proposed these types with the vision glass, for example, and the community chose, how much you show inside by choosing the vision glass portion. And also the tribe space has got each door, and we again had a feedback from construction company. They lost the way while construction, because half floor has got a very good connectivity, but you can easily get lost. So by receiving that ideas, we decided to color the doors to have an orientation. So this is community sketch. And also we coordinated what kind of furniture we design and what kind of furniture community do with the kitchen supplier, for example. For the furniture, as an architect, we try to give an idea about, how we occupy the space and how we face the window, for example, and the ceiling space. And with this basic principle, the community tried to apply the concept, if you say, for the feel, for the look on their own. And the wall was also discussed with this common palette, which can be a community interior. As you can see, the similar common wood finish and colors applied to these communal spaces for all. And the same thing actually goes to the tribe space. So this is the community's the sketch of the Onuel community, and they actually had some ideas from each tribe for the wall finishes like this for their own space. But we gave a spectrum to choose. And the roof was very important because it had to be our community space again. And you know, we allowed some continuity for the attic floors. And during the construction, we found that by putting this bridge, the roof can be connected and actually can be a promenade. So there was a safety issue and all the concerns, but the community really wanted to utilize this opportunity for a promenade. So as you can see, it's now used as a promenade. And during the construction, the community owner again decided to put more values on it because they thought communal spaces are really valuable. So at the beginning, actually, we didn't have this because of the cost issue, but they added one element by another by having this consultation with our landscape designer in London, KSD. So rainwater collected for irrigation, which actually was response to their early desire for rainwater cascade. That wild idea was actually from the director Minsu Park, and we couldn't really have it because of the cost issue. And now they wanted to realize it, even though it's small part of the herb garden. And even decking, they decided to do it because, we really couldn't have room for that because of the construction cost. But they decided, this one, they need to put some more values on it by having more funds on it. So they actually decided to put the wood flooring, but again, a mixture of construction companies help and also DIY decking because there was a carpenter inside the community. So he trained the community members to send the timbers. And there's again garden, they saw this the garden space available and asked, how they can try gardening. So as a starting point, KSD June from London, actually June and Rory provide this calendar and some sketches. So they did it on their own. And I think they are now enjoying their more creative aspects of gardening. And so these issues actually were explained with these basic elements like room, bedroom, living room, etc. And after our retrospective, we thought actually this typical architecture element actually touches some other issues, very different from typical just architecture process, like room for family, bedroom for dignity, if we say, living room for character, floor, horizontality. So we actually asked about what kind of horizontality needs to be provided for floor, and we ended up with half floors, for example. And stair landing, the importance of landing, kitchen ownership, corridor, again, dignity, powder room, openness, void, necessity, balcony, sharing, window, common, attic, open and porch, home, hall, flexibility and characteristics, wardrobe, seasonal, collective, toilet care, elevator, social mobility, door, visibility, furniture, skeleton and variables again, wall, community interior, roof, creative uses, and garden, again, DIY. So after these issues, and we wanted to show we actually found out, what made this housing architecture really special. And without this process, we couldn't find it really, because this is the first time we really tried to, think about what the architecture is for this housing.
Yes, I'm back. Yeah. Once you take off your shoes at the foyer, you can freely navigate through spaces with purposes or sometimes without purposes. 2 cafeterias, 3 libraries, 4 living rooms, 5 small gardens, 4 roof decks, 5 kitchens and dining spaces, music practice room, theater and game room, study and work units, 2 galleries, a nursery, classrooms, 4 meeting rooms, and the main assembly hall. And at the end of the journey, you can sleep at the fully furnished guest room at the price of £40. So we'd like to point out here 2 issues. The marriage of a program and space, the conception of private and public, stop and go sign needed to be redefined. The positions of them, some are in the middle and in a state of constant mobility. Ambivalence in Collins Covey dictionary, simultaneous existence of 2 opposed conceptions. And the other one is half-level connection. When you go up 2 stories, 4 stories are covered. I'd like to tell here AA school. The terrace is a good example. A door to AA terrace is on the stair landing. I believe the terrace is the center of the AA school. I graduated the school 2005, it's a long time ago, but I still remember that. It's connected to the bar and the library with half-level connection. You can guess the relationship with the bar and the library in half-level connection. Yeah, that's the key thing. Next one.
And again, it's a recap of the basement core. I called it junction. And when we just looked at the element by elements, you could see stair, door, or sunken garden. But as a whole, this makes a junctional space for people to get together, but choose their way, depending on the neighbors you want to meet, or give some consideration for not to interrupt the activities. And the sunken garden is very important, we thought, because it gives an orientation. And again, stair, attic, door, these 3 are the set that makes these detours and shortcuts. And this attic floor is a private space actually in Korea within a household, but by putting the door connected to the roof tea room or to the main common staircase, actually you allow to people to choose the way, whether enter this way or that way. So there's a choice you can have when you access these attic floors. And for the tribe, they can close this door when they want to use their living room or private use. Then the changeability can be achieved by doing that. So this is the set for us to think about actual choices for individuals and changeability for tribes. And multiple loops we call in these 2 units. So in each unit, you've got this circulation around this utility, another shortcut through the powder room. And because we had this connecting balcony here, 2 tribes can actually move around through this way too. So there's another circle this way, and again, through the children's corridor here. So these multiple loops actually give some choices for individuals. So everyday routine, you don't want to just walk always one corridor and through the rooms. You want to sometimes move around and choose on your own. So that provides this freedom to do it. And
the interface between the internal requirement of the ethic by regulation and the external profile of the inclined roofs for safety issue, that meeting point became a promenade. The difference of angles of the below space create an enjoyable roofscape, which is to see, to be seen, and to walk along. Like a hill on a mountain, you can freely stop by and have a relaxed moment. And of course, community parties are allowed here. Oh, okay. We'd like to sum up, but rather than summing up, I also I'll go back to AA experience. A friend of mine, Ho-Min Kim, he's an architect and AA graduate. He said once he never failed to meet friends in AA bar and terrace. In Onul community, accidental encounters happen when people are moving along the circulation. You can see over a space, or you cannot see, or if you cannot see, still you can hear what's going on. And you may jump into that conversation in the middle. That random encounters are encouraged here, but not in a chaotic way.
And we really don't want to too much interpretations or importance on the design we've done. But it was an opportunity for us to think about actually what was achieved through this reflection or retrospective. When we design something, we actually want to give some choices. And I thought, you don't want to stuck in an ordinary routine. You sometimes want to have an escape. That's why we love traveling. And this community loves traveling. And when we looked at these shortcuts, detours, or multiple loops, we thought maybe this mobility can allow individuals like traveling to move around and choose their life, even though within a building, but still creating everyday different. But again, after traveling or while traveling, you want to go back home. Sometimes you feel that way, and then if I go back, I will change my life because I saw these different cultures, etc. And I want to live in a different way. You feel that way, and you come back home. You try something, whether you want to have really completely different new yourself, or sometimes you go back to yourself, old yourself. And I believe this system or this space can help individuals to actually to again leave their private or comfort zones applied by provided by the tribes, like characters of the living room or the community areas. But again, but still individuals can practice some different way of encountering these spaces by activities, communal activities, or again by anchoring in this living room space. But the only difference is that this different self actually is connected to the neighbors or families, social families, and they want to change something. Actually, the community can do together because they care you. And that's how all these different activities can happen together. And when individuals try something new or something different, which was found from deeper inside of you, then actually there are some families or friends or neighbors who want to try together. And that way, actually, you can sustain your trials, your wish, without losing some orientations. And I think the environmental quality or the relations actually you can make through these spaces can enable to do it. And that's somehow we concluded from this recollection. And we want to thank deeply to Brandon James and June Jaewon for giving us to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have the next session with Onul Community. We talked about our experience 7 years ago, and now you can find it whether it really works that way with the community members. Min-soo Park, the director and the representative, joined us over the Zoom. And we have Hyunhye here, so I will pass over the microphone to Hyunhye. Please welcome her.
네, 안녕하세요. 네, 저는 오늘 공동체 주택에 거주하고 있고요. 이렇게 지난 건축 과정부터 지금까지의 과정을 보니까 감회가 새롭고 영광스럽습니다. 그리고 제가 오늘 발표를 연대에서 하는 거를 어제 알았는데 제가 12년 만에 모교에 왔습니다. 이렇게 어떤 연구 사례가 돼서 저희 집이 연구 사례가 돼서 이렇게 발표한다고 하니까 진짜 이거는 인스타감인 거 바로 올려야 될 것 같은. 하여튼 초대해 주셔서 감사하고요. 이제 소개드리겠습니다. 원래는 대표님과 함께 와서 나눠서 발표하려고 했는데 어제 코로나에 걸리셔서 대표님께서 코로나에 걸리셔서 지금 화면에 계시고요. 제가 오롯이 발표하게 됐네요. 잘해야 될 텐데. 네, 사전에 몇 가지 질문들을 주셔서 제가 질문을 중심으로 거주하는 경험들을 나누고자 합니다. 2017년부터 5년 이상 이제 만 5년 넘게 살면서 느낀 점을 물어보셨는데요. 한마디로 말씀드리면 날마다 새롭다입니다. 저희 오늘 공동체 주택은 그 앞에서 보셨듯이 바깥으로 시야가 많이 열려 있고요. 그럼 그만큼 이제 자연 채광의 영향을 많이 받다 보니까 하루 동안도 아침부터 밤까지의 그런 분위기가 다르고요. 그 1년 중에서도 사계절의 그 분위기가 다른데요. 또 다른 또 특징은 각 공간마다 저마다 크기와 쓰임새가 다른 공간들이 굉장히 많이 있어서 날마다 5년이 지났는데도 갈수록 편하고 좀 새롭다는 느낌을 갖고 있습니다. 건물이 지어지기 전에 기대감과 지금 현재는 어떠냐고 또 물으셨는데요. 처음에는 사실은 그 건물에 대한 기대감은 거의 제로였습니다. 그냥 저희가 다 같이 살 수 있는 집만 있으면 좋겠다는 그런 바람뿐이었는데요. 실제로 이렇게 멋진 공간이 있는 건물에 살다 보니까 공간이 주는 어떤 만족도가 굉장히 크다는 거를 체감하고 있습니다. 네, 느끼고 있습니다. 특히 예상치 못했던 활동들이 굉장히 많이 늘어나서요. 액티비티도 굉장히 많아졌습니다. 건축가는 순환로, 우회로나 지혜름길, 선택 가능성, 반층 이런 것들을 많이 고려하신다고 하네요. 그래서 그런 것이 살면서 어떤지 물어보셨는데 저는 이 질문을 통해서 제가 어떤 길을 선택하며 살고 있구나라는 거를 자각하게 됐어요. 실제로 네, 어떤 공간에서 모임이 이루어지면 방해하지 않기 위해서 다른 길을 선택하기도 하고요. 그리고 반층 계단의 경우에는 같은 층인데도 다른 공간을 넘어간다는 어떤 재미를 좀 느끼는 것 같습니다. 또 아이들 같은 경우에는 그 길 자체가 놀이 공간이 되기도 하는 것 같습니다. 초반에 산 때문에 저희가 땅을 샀는데 현재는 어떠냐? 기대 이상인 것 같습니다. 그 도시 생활을 하는데 도시에서의 어떤 각박함을 벗어나는 어떤 힐링을 그 산을 보면서 하고 있는 것 같습니다. 저희가 대안적 삶을 구상하게 된 것은 2000년도에 그 어떤 멤버들과 종교의 본질에 대해서 공부하면서 공동체를 알아가게 됐고요. 또 멤버들의 또 내면을 알아보다 보니 우리에겐 정말 공동체가 필요하구나 라는 깨달음을 얻게 됐습니다. 그러면서 이게 계기가 돼서 2010년부터 공동체로 살아가는 삶을 모색해 본 것 같습니다. 저희는 이제 부족이라는 용어를 쓰는데요. 이 부족은 저희의 어떤 롤 모델이 된 인천 검암에 있는 우동사라는 공동체에서 얻게 된 이름이에요. 그 공동체에서는 도시부족이라는 단어를 썼는데 이 용어가 저에게 굉장히 끌렸습니다. 이유는 저희도 그 혈연을 넘어서 가족을 이루고 싶은 어떤 꿈이 있는데 그 용어와 적합하다고 생각했던 것 같습니다. 이전 주거 실험, 저희가 살던 예전 집인데요. 이전에 저희는 이제 같이 살기 위해서 실험들을 좀 했습니다. 같이 사는 꿈을 꾸면서 이제 같이 살아보자 해서 모인 사람들이 30명 정도가 됐는데 다 같이 살 수는 없었어요. 그래서 그러면 팀을 이루어서 소수라도 모여서 살아보자 해서 3개의 팀이 구성이 됐습니다. 여성 싱글 4명이 한 팀, 그리고 남성 싱글 4명이 한 팀, 그리고 한부모 세대 2세대가 한부모 가정 2세대가 또 이렇게 한 팀이 돼서 3팀이 있었는데 이 3팀 중에 한 팀은 실패했고요. 2팀은 성공했습니다. 그리고 실패의 그 원인은 바로 가사노동에 있었습니다. 네. 그 모든 팀이 함께 겪은 문제이기도 했는데요. 청소와 설거지, 빨래 같은 그런 정리, 가사 노동이 진짜 최선을 다하지 않았을 때는 이 혈연을 넘는 이런 가정에게는 어려움이 된다는 것, 지속 가능하지 않다는 것을 깨닫게 됐어요. 그래서 우리는 이런 가사 노동을 섬김이라고 하는데요. 이 섬김이라는 게 예수의 어떤 제자도 가르치면서도 굉장히 중요하게 강조되고 있는 것입니다. 그래서 저희는 이제 50명이 가족들이 돼서 지금 현재 살아갈 때 이 가사 노동, 섬김을 굉장히 중요한 가치로 여기며 살아가고 있고요. 그래서 5년이 넘는 현재까지도 별 문제 없이, 별탈 없이 잘 지내고 있습니다. 여기에서 저희 대표님의 역할은 무엇이냐라고 물으셨는데, 중재자 역할인 것 같습니다. 살면서 문제는 항상 발생하기 나를 마련인데요. 그런 문제들, 관계에서의 문제들을 객관적으로 살펴보고 중재해 주시는 역할을 하고 있고요. 그 역할은 지금까지도 계속되고 있습니다. 종교가 공동체 삶에서 어떤 영향을 하는지 저희는 이제 기독교를 중심으로 시작이 됐는데 종교는 저희에게 공동체를 알려줬습니다. 그리고 공동체로 살아가려면 어떻게 살아야 하는지를 방법을 또 알려주기도 했어요. 그래서 굉장히 저희 공동체를 형성하는데 중요한 토대가 되고 있습니다. 하지만 보통 말한 종교의 형식이나 어떤 행사, 종교적인 행사는 오래 전부터 없어진 지 오래입니다. 왜냐하면 그런 종교적인 예식들은 저희는 비본질적이라고 합의가 되고 생각하고 있기 때문입니다. 공동체로서 살아가는 게 의미 있고 좋지만 지역 사회에는 과연 어떤 도움이 되고 있느냐? 이런 질문들, 회의적인 의견들이 많은 것을 알고 있습니다. 여기에 대한 저의 의견은 공동체는 확실히 외부보다는 내부의 에너지를 많이 쏟게 되는 경향들이 있는 것 같습니다. 이유는 공동체로 살아보니 정말 잘 살기 위해서는 에너지가 많이 필요하고요. 그러다 보니 또 외부에 관심을 두기가 쉽지는 않은 것 같습니다. 그럼에도 주위에 저희뿐만이 아니라 주위에 많은 공동체들이 지역사회와 함께하기 위해서 노력을 많이 하고 있습니다. 저희 또한 그렇고요. 이런 공동체 문화를 확산해서 더 좋은 이웃들을 많이 만들어가는 게 저희의 또 바람이기도 합니다. 실제로 이렇게 활동을 하다 보니 외부에서 오히려 거꾸로 저희 공동체와 함께하자고 요청해오는 경우들이 굉장히 많습니다. 이렇게 지역사회에 다가갈 때 혼자 다가가는 것보다 2~3명이 함께 공동체로서 다가가는 게 훨씬 더 힘을 많이 얻는 것 같습니다. 설계 과정에서 이제 부족으로 저희는 단위를 구성했지만 살아갈 때 그 부족의 차는 별로 이렇게 느껴지지 않는 것 같습니다. 실제로 부족이 회계를 같이 공유하거나 청소를 같이 하거나 하는 경우들이 있어서 느슨하게 부족 안에서의 연대는 존재하는 것 같지만 저희가 보셨듯이 개인 공간 외에 모든 층에 있는 공유 공간을 공유하다 보니까 동아리 활동이나 같은 어떤 공간을 공유하는 어떤 활동들을 하는 사람들 간에 교류가 많다 보니까 내 부족이다, 남의 부족이다 이런 부족 간의 경계를 느끼지 않고 살고 있는 것 같습니다. 오늘 공동체에서 가장 붐비는 공간은 지금 현재 음악 연습실입니다. 밴드 동아리가 굉장히 많고요. 그리고 개인 악기도 많이 배우다 보니까 이제는 관리자가 어느 시점에선 필요했고요. 그 관리자에 의해서 시간을 조정하면서 이렇게 운영하고 있습니다. 그것도 부족할 때는 다른 공간을 이용해서 연습을 하기도 합니다. 부족한 구성원 이동이 이뤄진 사례는 많지는 않지만 있긴 있었습니다. 살면서 이제 이혼한 가정이 생겼어요. 그래서 부부 중에 한 분은 다른 부족으로 이동을 하게 됐습니다. 그리고 또 청소년 자라서 이제 청소년 시기가 되니 부모랑 떨어져 살고 싶다라는 청소년이 생겨서 또 이동한 사례도 있습니다. 긴밀하게 연결된 공동체에서 자유와 의사결정이 어떻게 이루어지고 있는가? 저희는 긴밀하긴 합니다만은 또 한편으로는 자유와 또 존중이라는 가치를 굉장히 중요시하고 있습니다. 서로 해가 되는 행동은 그 최대한 삼가하려고 하는 것이 있지만 그것이 아니라면 최대한 또 자유를 누리려고 하는 특성도 있습니다. 그리고 또 나이나 성별에 연연하지 않고 이렇게 동등하게 살려고 또 하고도 있고요. 그리고 의사결정 과정에는 모든 공동체원이 참여하고 있습니다. 그리고 공동체를 살 거냐 아닐 거냐 그 선택은 아이부터 열려 있습니다. 아이부터 어른까지 선택에 의해서 사는 것을 존중하고 있습니다. 건축사님께서 앞에서 말씀하셨듯이 그 여행자의 삶을 저희는 추구하고 있고요. 개인 공간은 극히 적고 그래서 여행 가방 하나 들고 온 것처럼 정말 많은 짐을 버리고 들어와 살고 있는데요. 5년이 지난 지금 그 방이 너무 작진 않은가? 이런 질문들이 있었습니다. 실제로 많이 버리고 그 미니멀하게 살려고 왔는데 점점 새로운 것들이 또 채워지고 있는 걸 보면 진짜 습관을 버리기 쉽지는 않은 것 같습니다. 그래서 그 늘어나는 그 새로운 물건들만큼 비어나가는 습관들이 생긴 것 같습니다. 어쨌든 내 방에 미니멀하게 사는 것을 맞추려고 하다 보니 그런 습관들이 생기고요. 그런 그래서 새롭게 생긴 또 문화들은 저희 카톡방에 물건 나눔 방이 있는데 굉장히 활성화돼 있습니다. 뭐 필요 없는 물건들 나누고 다시 받고 이런 활성화되어 있습니다. 공동체로 살아가려면 저희에게 공동체 학교라는 과정이 있는데 굉장히 필수적입니다. 공동체원으로 살아가기 위한 기본적인 삶의 내용들을 배우는 과정인데요. 저희 공동체에서는 공동체원들이 모든 아이들의 모두 부모가 되고자 하는 그런 지향이 있다 보니 공동체 학교에서도 이 양육에 대한 과정은 들어가 있습니다. 또 대안학교에서 아이들은 또 공동체 생활의 연장이라고도 할 수 있습니다. 기본적인 학습을 하기도 하지만 공동체적인 삶에 필요한 내용들을 가르치는 현장이기도 합니다. 공동체 유지 전략이라고 한다면 공동체 사업, 창업하는 분들에게 지원하는 그런 일들을 하고 있는데요. 공동체원들이 창업기금을 모아서 공동체 내 창업을 하고자 하는 분들을 지원하는 활동들을 하고 있는데 현재까지 이제 5개 사업장이 지원받아서 개업됐어요. 그리고 또 공동체 내 공동체원들의 일자리를 마련하고 또 공동체 경제를 창조하기 위해서 지금까지는 공동체 사업장이 3개 운영되고 있습니다. 장기적으로 구상하는 공동체 삶은 이라고 한다면 저희 구성원들이 한 10년, 향후 10년이 되면 대부분 은퇴를 하게 되는데요. 은퇴자의 삶, 은퇴한 이후에 행복하게 살아갈 수 있는 삶의 방식과 주거를 고민하고 있습니다. 그것이 이제 지금 살고 있는 마을을 기반으로 할 수도 있고요. 그렇지만 또 이제 시골살이, 도농 연계 방식으로 살아가는 것도 모색하고 있습니다. 공동체 실버타운도 생각해 보고 있습니다. 네, 여기까지가 저희 발표입니다. 들어주셔서 감사합니다.